The following program is brought to you by the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. The League of Women Voters is a national, non-partisan organization established to encourage citizen participation in government. It never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. The statements and opinions of the candidates are presented in the interest of public service and in no way are to be construed as endorsement thereof by the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters takes no responsibility for any of the views or facts stated by the candidates.
Good evening, and welcome to this candidate forum for the City of Keego Harbor. Today is September 27, 2022. The forum will be featuring the two candidates filed for City Council for the City of Keego Harbor. This is a 3-year term. Sponsors of this forum are League of Women Voters, Oakland area. I am Jerry Burton, a member of the League of Women Voters. I do not reside in this community. The League of Women Voters is a trusted national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our communities strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this that has great impact on local, state, and national issues. If you're interested in learning how you can join the League of Women Voters, I would encourage you to visit our website, lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters, Oakland County, does not endorse any candidate or political party. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the sponsors take no responsibility. The candidates in alphabetical order are Manhal Shamani and Teresa Shaminsky. This forum rules for this forum have been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask the candidates answer with their questions only and not interrupt another candidates. The candidates will be answering questions submitted from the audience. The format as follows. All candidates will be giving a 2-minute opening statement in alphabetical order. Closing statements will be in reverse order with 1 minute. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation. The moderator will mention the questioner and the candidate before each question. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer the questions. Candidates will be indicated 15 seconds by our timer, Kelly Williams, and then we will stop and we will go from there. We will begin our opening statement with Mr. Shamani.
Good evening. My name is Menhel Shamami. I'm also known by a lot of the residents as Mike Shamami. I've been living in the city of Keego Harbor since 2004. I bought a home on Willow Beach there on the lake. And since then, I've got married in 2005. My wife Rita and I have had 4 children since then, ranging from the age of 10 to the age of 17. We've been really love living in Keego Harbor. We have a lot of great neighbors there. We have a great city, a lot of good police officers in the city, you name it. I mean, the whole community is just, it's one of a kind. And to live there and be a part of that neighborhood and that community is just, it's like an honor for me, and I'll do whatever I have to if I do get on the city council. I'm not a politician, but I am a good resident, and I'm a fair resident, and I believe in fair and justice for everybody. And safety is a priority for me, and any decision I make will be for the city and not for myself or my family in any way.
Thank you. Ms. Szymanski.
Good evening. I'm Teresa Szymanski. I've lived in Keego Harbor since 2011. I moved to Keego Harbor intentionally. When I grew up, I always went out to Keego Harbor to enjoy my summers. It was a place, it was a destination to be in, and I wanted to be there. I wanted to be a part of that community as I got older. So it was an intentional move for me. I bought a small house there. I have enjoyed my living there. I am single. I have no children, and I enjoy being there. I am an accountant by trade. I have worked with the City of Keego Harbor. I served a term for 3 years on City Council. Prior to that, I spent 2.5 years on the Planning Commission. I am currently on the Zoning Board of Appeals and on the Board of Review. So I understand the city and how it works. I understand a lot of the issues within the city. The city has been a joy. It is, as Mike had said, it is a truly special city. It is a gem to live in. It has wonderful people. The residents are like family. You walk the streets and everyone looks at you and smiles and says, "Hi, how are you?" And to be a part of that and to want to grow that community and to work to the betterment of that community is why I'm running again for City Council.
Thank you. The first question, we will start with Mr. Shamami. Orchard Lake Road is suffering commercial district. What are your plans and your vision for Orchard Lake Road?
My plans and vision for Orchard Lake Road are hopefully to bring in new tenants and new businesses to the area. Orchard Lake right now, we have a small strip there in the city of Keego Harbor, and there is quite a bit of vacancy there, which I know the times are not good right now coming out of COVID, but hopefully in the next couple of years, settling out of COVID, I think we can hopefully bring in some new businesses, occupy some of these vacancies, and bring additional tax revenue to the city. And I think that would help with the budget of the city and occupy some of the buildings.
Thank you, Ms. Szymanski. But before you answer your question, look at the cameras. Don't look at me. I don't live here. I don't vote here. So I can't help you. And those people watching are the ones who are going to vote for you. Ms. Szymanski.
My view for Orchard Lake, a few years ago we had done a study by the Gibbs Group, and that project informed us of what would work for our city and what wouldn't. So I would like to work with that project as an outline for the city and how to improve the city, what to bring in. They gave us a lot of really great ideas of the types of businesses we want to bring in to help fill the space, as well as to create additional spaces and additional places to be. Orchard Lake Road also, that whole corridor has to become a more walkable area. So we have to make things so that people want to walk around, enjoy the city, make it part of the destination of being within Keego Harbor, and keeping in mind the residents and what is best for their needs.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Szymanski. How do you feel about the ballot proposal for marijuana retail in Keego Harbor?
Okay, that's a very interesting topic. That ballot proposal, my personal opinion is it's not fit for Keego Harbor. Many people know that I have been a proponent of marijuana. It has to be done correctly. That ballot proposal that we have there is not the correct way to do it. It is going well beyond what a ballot proposal should within our city. So what we need to do is we have to look at a better proposal. If I were to be asked whether I would support it or not, I absolutely do not support that particular proposal. I would support one that is that does not create some of the organizations. It's creating a department within the city. I don't believe the department within the city should be created as part of this. I also think that the number of facilities they want to bring in is wholly inappropriate for our city.
Thank you, Mr. Shamami.
I'm with Teresa on that. I kind of, we opposed it in the past, and I still oppose the retail marijuana. I think it's not a fit for the city. It's a very small city. I think would bring a lot more bad than good, if anything, out of the city. I think if they did do it in a different type of planning or different, but to come in with the retail, we did vote against it. Somehow, somewhere, they were able to get it back on the ballot, I think, through the state. But again, we're against it. We're going to oppose it, and hopefully it will not pass.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Shamani. What are your feelings about devoting some park space to a skateboard park?
You know what, I'm familiar with a couple of parks in the city, and I think if there is space, if it's not being used currently for, if it's part of a park, or it could be part of a piece of parcel or property that's not being used, if it's owned by the city or by the Parks and Recreation, I would favor that, because I see a lot of kids that come up and down my street with skateboards and even bikes. The kids ride through there, and they go to the, they'll go over the walk bridge by my house, and then they go into the local park there. So I would support something like that if there was a space for it.
Thank you. Ms. Szymanski.
Skate parks are really great places, recreational places for young people to congregate and for them to congregate safely. However, a city park, yes, I would like to see it, but there is an issue with that. If the city has to pay for one of these, you have to look at what's available within the budget. So these parks can cost $100,000 plus, and when you're looking at a budget for a small city, that's a large chunk of money for us to be spending on a skate park. If someone came up with a financing method for it, a way for someone else who was willing to bring it in and help finance the payment of it and development of it, I would be all for that.
Thank you. The next question will start with Ms. Szymanski. There's a ballot proposal in regards to the smart bus. What do you believe that will benefit Keego Harbor?
The smart bus proposal?
The smart proposal, yes.
Any bus proposal benefits a community. That's the way residents get around, and right now especially right now where it's harder for people to find cars, especially reasonably priced ones, people who have issues with that. So to make buses better and to make them safer and to make them less polluting, any of that would be a much better thing for our community.
Thank you, Mr. Shamani.
That, I would probably have to do a little bit more research on that, just because, like I said earlier, Keego Harbor just has a small strip there. I think it's a 1 mile probably square that the whole city is. And I think part of Orchard Lake, which is the main artery to the city, from Orchard Lake to Sylvan Lake, we might have about a mile strip there. So I don't know how beneficial that would be. But if it is feasible, if it would help some of the businesses to get, I know everybody has a situation with staffing right now, and labor market is very tough in everywhere. So I think it's just with us having a small strip there, I think I would really have to see how beneficial it would be for me to support it.
Thank you. Ms. Szymanski. Did I ask you about the smart? Okay, yes. I'm sorry. The next question, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each. What is your vision of the Roosevelt School property? And we'll start with Ms. Szymanski.
That has been a big point of contention in the West Bloomfield School District. We did not want to see Roosevelt School closed. It was a key part of our community. It is one of the oldest schools operating in the state, if not the oldest continuously running school within our state. So to see that be closed, that really, truly hurt our community. I would love to see everything move back there, although I know that probably is not an option at this point in time. To see it still be used as a school, to find a way to find maybe it's someone who wants to come in and use it as a school, that might not be a bad idea. Outside of that, we have to take a look at what is available and what other developments might be appropriate for that. There has not, as of yet, as I know, been a study done of the property to allow us to know what would be the most appropriate usage for that.
Thank you. Mr. Szymanski. Giovanni.
I mentioned before that the school was like, when we moved there, it was, that was another one of the reasons we said, okay, we have a nice, it was a blue ribbon school, I believe, at one time, and at the end of our street. And it was sad to see it close. We did support it. We had some of the good neighbors out there, the Willow Beach residents and the Cass Lake Front, and then everybody that just, we would see so many of the parents walk their kids right, through our done our street, and then, to that. Now they had to relocate. We're thankful that they didn't go too far. They did go to the old Abbott School building, which is maybe another half mile the other way or 3/4 of a mile, but I'm hoping that one day they would do something with that building, and if it's not going to be used as a school, hopefully they could keep it. It's like an icon building there. It's a historic building, and I think it would be nice to have a good use for that building that would generate a lot of tax revenue for the city.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Shamami. What direct experience do you have in regards to community engagement and community development?
You know what? I've never been involved in cities and stuff, but we have done so much development in different cities. We're always involved with the community. We're always involved with the churches. We do a lot of fundraisers. We help across the board. If it's employees, if it's customers, if it's no matter what, we're known for customer service, and I think bringing that to the table with business sense, and we think we can do good for the city. Hopefully bring in some ideas, build the budget for the city, and hopefully keep the city like the way it is now with not much changes, which is a beautiful city.
Thank you. Ms. Szymanski.
As I said earlier, I sat on Planning Commission for 2.5 years. For my final year of that, before I went for my first term on City Council, I was the Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. That gave me a lot of experience with the planning and development of the city, with looking at the codes, with looking at what the residents needed and some of the issues within the city. As I said, I also served as a council member for 2 years, 3 years. While as a council member, I served on the Gibbs Planning Group on their steering committee, going over what we were looking at with that project and what that was going to do for the community, and the planning associated with it. Not only that, but as I said, I also serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals, where we're looking at some of the codes, what we see regularly and what that does to the community and what issues we have. And as well as being on the Board of Review. So I've had quite a bit of involvement in our city.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Szymanski. What is your vision of the total of Orchard Lake Road? In other words, all of the upgrades and downgrades and empty buildings and so forth.
Okay. Orchard Lake Road is going through a major reconstruction right now. There's a lot of issues with that, whether with the traffic flow. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. The vacant buildings and the issues with that, I think when we start implementing more of a walkable community, we're going to see a lot of that fill. We're going to be able to bring in people who want to do the developments. We're going to bring in the people who want to fill the buildings. I think that will all go hand in hand as we improve our roads and improve our walkability. So that will all come hand in hand. I would love to see us work with getting more businesses in, making it a beautiful, small town feel to our businesses and not have major type businesses in there, but have the small hometown feel. Encourage local residents to open shops.
Thank you, Mr. Shamani.
I consider Orchard Lake like one of the prime roads in the county. It is. It's an artery goes through Orchard Lake, through Keego Harbor, through Sylvan Lake, and I don't consider any of the neighboring cities. I consider them all, as neighbors and residents, equivalent to me. But I think Orchard Lake should, between the three cities, Keego, Sylvan, and Orchard Lake, I think they have to work together somehow to try to bring in more revenue, occupy some of these vacant spaces. The roads are going to be beautiful when the construction is done. It's just, it's an inconvenience now, but I think in a year or two from now, I think things will get better. It'll be a positive for all the cities.
The next question, we'll start with Mr. Shamami. In regards to legacy costs, pensions and so forth, and the reduction in state revenue sharing, what could you do as a councilman to maintain existing budgets and so forth?
I would try to increase, from my understanding and just attending city council meetings in the past and just communicating with the current city council members and the city members, they have a very tight budget. I think the only way out of this is either somehow to get some grants from the state, bring in some additional tax revenue, which would have to be, it has to go back to occupying some of these vacant buildings and bring in some different users than we have there. I think if we can do that, I think, you know, city of Keego Harbor is so small, it doesn't need a whole lot. It needs a little bit more. And I think between the residents and what we have there, I think we can make it work.
Thank you, Ms. Szymanski.
Keego Harbor does have a very, very tight budget, and that's pretty much a standard in small towns. So bringing in additional revenue is always an ideal, but if you cannot bring that in, you have to work with what you've got. We've been slowly paying down our pension deficit and things like that. We've been working on building up our fund balances, making sure we can operate properly. We've been doing that for years. Our council has been very diligent with what they are spending money on, and we have to maintain that. So we have to have people who understand how to budget, where you can cut and where you can't cut, while keeping the services that the citizens truly want and need. And understanding that is how you have to go about doing it.
Okay, now, the next question, we'll start with Ms. Szymanski. And it will I'll give you 2 minutes to answer any question that you believe should be addressed in Keego Harbor. What issues, the 2 main issues that you would address currently?
A lot of the issues in Keego Harbor surround the residents, the walkability of the community, making it a nicer community to live in, getting rid of some of our blight, because that's always been an issue within Keego Harbor. So we need to update some of our codes to go along with that and help the residents improve their property, making it better for not only them, but their neighbors. And when you help with one property, it seems to help with all the rest. And that goes for both the residential as well as the commercial properties. The other one would be the budget that I love doing budget work, being an accountant, working on a budget, working with the numbers, trying to figure out how to best make it work. That for me is one of the key areas, and knowing where our major problems are and knowing what our great expenses are some of those things that we really have to focus on. So I know that, you know, looking at our police budget, we have a millage coming up for a safety millage that's going to help with that. I hope that our residents pass it if we want to be able to maintain our services. So those are the things I'm going to be looking at, is how we maintain the services, whether or not some of these things pass.
Thank you. Mr. Shamani, the same question.
I think there isn't too much like right now as far as correcting. I think there's some fixing that needs to be fixed in the city. There's some fixing, and it goes back again to the budget. Teresa brought up the millage for the that's going to be on the ballot for the police. I'm a big supporter of the police department, and we'll do whatever we have to as residents and community members to get this millage passed. You know, I think we need it. It's important to have our own police department. There are a few big developments that have been sidetracked due to COVID, and one, I think if it does get off the ground, hopefully in the next few years, I think we'll generate a lot of tax revenue for the city. And I think as far as like the residents there, I know we have a lake Cass Lake, that nobody else has. Not alone in Oakland County, but even if you go up north, it's just amazing. It's right here in Oakland County, and I think if we come up with a plan somehow to incorporate maybe the future development that was going to happen there, and then somehow work with the lake that we have, and I think we can create a downtown in the city of Keego Harbor, either off of Cass Lake Road or Orchard Lake Road. I think it's there now. Every time I drive by, I say, you know what, this is a small downtown. We just need a little bit more, and I think a little bit more should not be that hard to get.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Shamami. What are your top reasons for wanting to run for city council? And if elected, what would be the major item you would like to accomplish?
I'm running for city council as a citizen, as a good neighbor, as a good friend, and as a family member. I have 4 kids, like I mentioned earlier. I'm hoping that they're going to continue, to grow and live in Keego Harbor one day, raise a family. I think it's a great place. It's a central spot, central location. And we love the water. Me and my family, and along with a lot of the residents there, love the water. So going back to the lake, we have a lake there that's unbelievable, and I've been to plenty of lakes. And I think if my goal to get in as a city council, I would want to make Keego Harbor no different than Orchard Lake or any other high-end city in the area as far as budget-wise.
Thank you. Ms. Szymanski.
The reason I started my process in government was because as a resident, I realized there was a lot I could do to help my own community. The residents, there are a lot of people there who need the help, who don't know how they can help. And one of those ways was to step up and do this and to encourage others to do the same. So for me, the reason for running is truly to be a part of my community, to help it, to do what it needs, and to have an active role in it. Because I don't want to live in a place that I'm not active in. As for what I would like to do with the community, our community is a beautiful community, a very welcoming community. I would like more people to know what our community is like, how wonderful it is. That way people want to come in and bring their businesses in. Really, truly make it the destination that people want to go through, not just for our lakes, but for our businesses as well.
Thank you. That concludes the questions, and we'll now allow 1 minute for closing remarks in reverse order, and we will start with Ms. Szymanski.
Well, I'd like to thank you for holding this event. Keego Harbor is very important to me. When I moved here, it was something that I did by intention. I did not just choose this on a whim. And as a person living here by intention, I want to be a help and a part of the community. My run for council is one so that I can help them, so I can be an active part, so I can do what is best for the community. I intend, if elected, to listen to all my residents, listen to what they need, what they want, and balance that with what is feasible within our budget and with what we can do.
Thank you. Mr. Shamami.
I think if my goal is to, if we we want, Keego Harbor is, they call it good old Keego. And I've heard that for many years. We don't want much to change here. We're going to make it better. We're going to make the budget better, which is the most important thing. We're going to keep the streets safe. We're going to support our police, keep the streets safe. We're a low crime, very low crime city. I think if we continue to do that and hopefully bring in some new business, I think we'll be on track to keep good old Keego, good old Keego. And I think that my goal is to represent my city, my neighbors, my friends, and everybody who supports me, and do the right thing.
Thank you. The sponsors would like to thank the candidates, the audience, and Keego Harbor City Clerk Tammy Neeb and Cable Civic Center TV for their participation in this event. For information on the candidates, please check the League of Women Voters website, lwvoa.org, or contact vote411.com. When known, rebroadcast times of this forum will be posted on the League of Women Voters website and also on the Keego Harbor website. The League of Women Voters is funded by contributions from concerned businesses and citizens. Our membership is open to men and women over the age of 16. Remember to vote November 8th, 2022. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.